Welcome back. In this video I want to show you guys how I go about trying to create a Nuxt module out of this Vue 3 package. It's called Splitpanes. It's a simple touch ready pane splitter slash resizer according to the author. So this is how it works. You just have different sections. You can move or resize them with this little handle right here. So let's just jump in to Nuxt and get this going. First, let me just create a folder. So new folder, I'm gonna call it Nuxt Splitpanes. Just gonna open that with VS Code. I'm going to select my Nuxt profile. So that's Nuxt 3. Let me zoom in a little bit. And to get started with Nuxt modules, let me go to the Nuxt website and go to docs, guide, modules, and then the modules author guide. I'm gonna copy this command, npx nuxt init -t module. So I'm going to use a module template, open my terminal, paste that in, and put a dot to tell the CLI to create the project in this folder. Press enter, and that should download the module template from Nuxt. So the files are created. We have the playground, and this is just the Nuxt application that they give with the module template, so that you can actually test out the module while it's being developed. And the source code for the module will actually live inside the source folder. Cool. So according to the documentation, once you've created the module and opened it in your IDE, install the dependencies and then run the dev prepare command. So I'm gonna go ahead and install with yarn. So all of the dependencies are installed now. Let me just reload the VS Code window. And we're going to run the prepare command. So the dev prepare, let's run that. All right, and that command is finished. So we can actually start the playground application by doing npm or yarn dev, sorry. So this will run the Nuxt dev playground command. So let's click that. And this is going to start the Nuxt application within this folder, playground folder. And if we go to localhost 3000, you can see it starting up. And we have our application. And this is actually coming from the app.vue file here. You can also see we have a plugin that's been registered, and it's actually logging out plugin injected by module in our VS Code terminal. So let's just minimize this. Probably need to stop the server. All right, so what we want to do is we want to install the module. So let's go here and get the installation instructions. So for Vue 3, we just add the Splitpanes module or package. So I'm going to yarn add Splitpanes. All right, and let's see how it's recommended that we register. So we should import the components and register them. All right, so how are we going to do this? We are going to import the Splitpanes and the pane component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import this CSS file, right? So in our module, I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, let's leave a comment to make this a little bit bigger. It's easier to see. We're going to add CSS for Splitpanes. So we're going to say Nuxt.options.css, and we're going to set that to the default value or an empty array. Is this how you do it? All right, so we're going to say Nuxt.options.css is equal to Nuxt.options.css or an empty array. And then we're going to say we want to push the Splitpanes CSS to our global CSS array. Cool. So once that's done, we want to actually create some components. So I'm going to say I want to create a folder here called components, and the first component that I want to add is the pane component. So let's go ahead and add the pane.vue file, and of course let's scaffold our component here along ts. So we actually want this pane component that's provided by the Splitpanes package. So let's import that here, and we're going to say pane and then just provide a slot. Cool. Let me see if this, I don't think this pane component has any props, so we're just going to leave it like this. And then we're going to create the second one, which is the Splitpanes component. So let's just create a new file, splitpanes.vue. And just like this one over here, we go ahead and paste that. So get Splitpanes and update this to Splitpanes. And we're getting some squiggly here. Let me reload to see if that's the issue. And it's not the issue. So it seems as though the Splitpanes component requires a specific prop. Let's see. So according to the documentation, we should be able to just use it. All right, I'm not sure why it's giving me that squiggly, because in these examples, Splitpanes, there is no required prop unless horizontal is the required prop. But let me go to the definition and see what it's requiring. So we have, these are the props. Not seeing where anything is required. So from this, let me just go ahead and grab these two items, and I'm going to recreate the emits. So I'm gonna say const emit equal to define emits, and we're just gonna use this array. Right, and then I'm going to say const props equal to define props, and I'm gonna pass in this object. And so the props should bind to this thing. So I'm gonna say props and whatever attribute is passed down to it. So let me see. Still getting a squiggly. I think the issue is it's expecting me to pass name, props, emits, and everything to the component instead of just passing in the values as properties. Interesting. All right, but we won't know if we'll have to register this component as a plugin as yet to avoid this, or if we can actually ignore this squiggly. So what we're going to do is we're going to import the components that we created just now. So we'll go back to module.ts and let's say add components directory, and this is a function that you get from the Nuxt package. Let's see about comments, add components. So add components directory, and we want to say that the components should come from, so the path is going to be runtime / components. Let's save that. And then I don't think we should prefix them or anything. We probably should give the option to make it global, but let's leave that for now. Or let me just show you how you can do that. So you can pass the global prop and then say options that is global. So of course this isn't defined. So in our module options interface, you can actually set that property. So is global is now a part of the module options type or interface, and it's passed in to the defined Nuxt module function. And what we can do now is set the default value for is global here to false. So the meta key, we can actually use this to update the name and the config key and the version of our package. So let's just rename this Nuxt Splitso, or we can follow most module authors and just import stuff from the package.json file. So we can get the name and the version. Cool. So we'll leave this as name and leave that as version. And the config key is the key within your Nuxt config that you'd pass the module options to. Cool. So within your Nuxt module, we're going to use the Splitpanes key to pass in whether this module is going to register the components as global or not. So within your Nuxt config, you could do something like Splitpane, and then that would be an object. Then here you could pass is global, and that would actually set the option. So that's how that works. So let's actually give this a spin within our playground to see if it's actually working. So we need to run the prepare command again. So let's run dev prepare. And once that's done, we can actually run the dev command. So we started up the dev command. Everything looks good. So we can now go into, let me close all of these, into the playground, app.view, and let's try rendering one of these components. So let's go back to the website and grab one of these examples, and let's see if it works. So we're going to say, let's grab this and let's paste it in. So we can see where the components are being imported automatically, and we have the different props that we can pass to it. Now let's see if it actually works. So let's go to localhost 3000 again. Page got reloaded, and you can see where we have the module working as it should. Cool. Of course, for the content that you're going to put within the panes, you may want to style it a little bit better. You can see the numbers are in the top left corner of each of these boxes. So that's definitely not what we want. Let's see. What I could do is I could open this folder in a new VS Code instance and install the Tailwind module so I can add some more styles to the playground. So let me just go ahead and stop the server. Close this. I'm going to say code playground. So this is just going to open this in a new VS Code instance. So we have our playground here and we have the module code here. Let's maximize this again. As you can see, this is a regular Nuxt application. And in the Nuxt config, we're pulling in the module. This my module key should not be there because we change it from my module to Splitpanes. And in here, we get autocomplete for our prop that we can pass in. So if we want to make the components being imported global, we can set is global to true, and that will make them global. And global components, you can read up more about them on the Nuxt website. How I know that they work is if you have if you're using a Nuxt content module and you want to include components in your markdown files, you have to make them global for it to work. Well, let me see if I can find the correct definition for global components. Global. All right, I'm not seeing it. Guide. Let's go to the directory structure, components. There should be something about global components in here. Global. Aha. So alternatively, though not recommended, you can register all components globally, which will create async chunks for all your components and make them available throughout your application. So making your components global will just, like it says here, create async chunks for all your components. So if we want to make these two components global, we just set that to true, and that is global property to true, and then we can use the components anywhere. I think it increases the bundle size a little bit, and from my experience, if you have a whole lot of global components, it can make reloading during development a bit slow. I think the last time I tried creating like a UI package, I had like about 90 global components, and it was slow. So just a fair warning. So let's save this, and like I said earlier, I'm going to add the Tailwind from Nuxt so that we can have some styling. So I'm going to go ahead and hit install. So install, and the extension I'm using to get this list of Nuxt modules is actually called NuxtR, and it's a VS Code extension. If you're a Nuxt developer, you should definitely install this extension. So what should happen here, the extension should install the Nuxt Tailwind CSS module, register it in our Nuxt config file, and then we can use it within our application. Even better than doing this, there's also a command. So if we open our command palette and we say framework, configure CSS framework, the NuxtR extension actually allows us to configure a framework. So if we click on this option and say we want to configure Tailwind CSS, it will ask us if we want to install the module, if we want to create a config file, and if we want to create a CSS file. So let's go ahead and click yes or check all of those. Click OK. It's going to install the module. It's going to create a config file for Tailwind, and it's going to create the CSS file for Tailwind. Cool. So now, if we go to our app.vue file, we should be able to, let's add a class, container. Let's make this centered and add some padding at the top and bottom. Save that. And we're going to come in here and we're going to run this application with the dev command. So the application should reload, and let's see if anything will break. All right, cannot read properties of null. Reading is CE. All right, this is new, so that's an error. I think what we may need to do is wrap these things in a client only tag. So let's go client only. Save that. See if that's the issue, and that's the issue. So we now have something strange happening. I'm not seeing Tailwind taking effect here. Let's see what's happening. Nope, should not be. Let's go yarn dev again. So just a quick update. Tailwind was actually working here. I forgot to put the semicolons in the CSS file. So because I left these off, it wasn't working. So if you add these and then add your styles, it should show up properly on the website, as you can see here. Cool. Back to the recording. This thing got reloaded properly. And you can see, I'm actually seeing where we have a min width property on the pane component. So here, we don't have that property or that prop defined in our module. So let me just go ahead and I think I should delete this plugin. It's not being used. Let's see, in our module, let's just remove it. We're not adding that plugin. Remove the import as well. So in our pane components, let's see. If I go, where is the props for the pane component? Not seeing the props for the pane component, but in the example on the website, oh yeah, we'll need to restart our playground. So, and that's because we deleted the plugin file. I'm actually seeing where a min size prop is passed. Let me go down to this section, the API. So the API is saying that we can pass horizontal prop, push other pins, double click splitter, RTL first splitter. Okay, but I'm not seeing a list of props for pane components. Interesting. Let me see if I can find it in the repository. If I go to source, components, Splitpanes, pin, props. There we go. So the props are here. So in our module for the pane component, we can actually define some props. So cons define props. And let's pass these props in. I think we should stub our module again. So let's do dev prepare. We should be able to do yarn dev. And we're getting an error message. So cons, this should not be cons define props. This should be props, define props by itself. So it should be like that. So let's do dev prepare. And then we can go to the playground. And you can see where it restarted since we got rid of the error. And if we go back to localhost, reload, it should be good. Now, instead of wrapping the components here in the actual application in client only, I think it would be best if we actually added this to the module itself. So let me save that. Let me just go back to the module. And in the split panes, we're going to say this is client only. And we're going to use the define options composable. And we're going to say inherit attributes and set that to false. So let's save. Let's rebuild the or prepare the module again. And then in the playground, let's restart. And in our application, good. So now we don't have to worry about the client on issue. No errors in the console. And of course, in our playground, we should get some autocomplete for our props. So if you say min, oh, let me reload this. Still running, good. So here we can say min size, and this we should be able to set the minimum size. I think this is in pixels. So if I say 100 and come back here, okay, that didn't work. Span 1, min size 100. See, that made a difference whether it's a number or a string. Nope. And I think the issue is that we did not pass the props to this thing. So I'm gonna say bind gonna be equal to props. I'm going to build this again. So def prepare, not build, but build for development. And then within our playground, let's see, restart, go back to the browser, should restart soon. And there we go. Min size is actually taking effect now. I think it shouldn't be this big. Let's see if it's a string, what will happen. Acting crazy. So if I remove this, then I can resize. What if I add it? Minimum size, I say 10. Ah, there we go. Oh, it's actually a percentage. So we can see where when we pass the 10, minimum size is actually converted to a width in percentage. So we have 10%. And I'm assuming that if I say 50% or 50, it should go up to 50%. Let me see. Yep, 50%. So the minimum width for this first pane is 50%. In developing this thing further, obviously we'd have to test it to see how well it works with it in production. We'd have to see if we can actually replace this little handle here. What if I don't like this handle? I'm seeing where we have a splitter class. So it's a Splitpanes splitter class, and we should be able to update these. Yep. But you guys can actually try that on your own. Let me just make these things bigger. So I'm gonna say flex, center, justify center, width full, height full. Just make the background gray and the text white, and make the text very big. Let's see what that looks like. And that has no effect whatsoever. That has no effect whatsoever. So I'm assuming that the height of this thing, we probably need to override the styles for the Splitpanes. But like I said, this video isn't about styling. It's really just about learning how to convert a Vue package into a Nuxt module, or any JavaScript package into a Nuxt module. So hopefully you guys liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.